Hello guys, Greg back with another video. So today we're looking at a new release from the house of Parfums Vintage, and this one is called Beyond Noir. Now I've been working off of a tester for this one for about the last 3 or 4 days, and I've worn it, every day straight. Normally if I was putting a review out I'd wear a fragrance for many weeks, but I think I've got enough of a feel for this one to give you at least some initial thoughts. Before we get into it a bit more, a lot of people have requested I do this on videos, so very quickly, watch of the day. Now this is the Seiko Monster. This is the first generation Seiko Monster. The reference on this is SKX779. So Beyond Noir, this is the 5th release from the house of Parfums Vintage. Up until this week they only had 3, but they've released Beyond Noir and also Pineapple Vintage Noir Intense, both this week. So we'll talk a bit more about the other 4 fragrances in the range shortly, but for now let's get into this one. Let's have a quick look at the bottle and the box. As you can see, it's very similar to the other box on the other versions, Beyond Noir written there. This one again very similar. The bottle, I really like these bottles. It's got a black cap as opposed to brown on the other versions, and it's distinguished by having Beyond Noir written on the bottom compared to all the other versions in the range. So the notes on this one, at the top you've got pineapple, apple and birch. In the mid you've got bergamot, cassis, rose and jasmine, and the base notes are patchouli, vanilla and ambergris. Now most of you will probably know that the fragrances from this house are known as being Aventus clones. I prefer to think of them as being Aventus inspired. I think they're different enough to stand up in their own right, but they obviously do smell a lot like Aventus. What you're going to get with Beyond Noir is the birch note in here has really been ramped up, and what it's done is created a very tarry, smoky, ashy fragrance. The strong burst of pineapple that you get in Pineapple Vintage and Pineapple Vintage Intense has gone, and now you just get a faint whiff of that pineapple at the top. There is a little bit of development in this fragrance, and that strong smokiness remains throughout, but it fades slightly to give you a little bit more of that pineapple. And as you get down to the dry down on this one, I get patchouli coming through. I'm not going to bang on about nuances and all of that sort of stuff. This smells like smoke and ash, pineapple and patchouli. Any of you that have smelt the really, really ashy Aventus batches, going back to 2010 was the main one that people remember, I think you'll agree that they've captured that really well in this fragrance. But I'll tell you straight now, this fragrance isn't going to be for everyone. In fact, I'd say there's not much middle ground on this. You're either going to love this or you're going to hate it. But of course the house are going to be aware of this. It's obviously their intention to create different versions of this, different options. Some are going to appeal to some will appeal to others. Performance on this one, it's in the average category on my skin. Most fragrances are, to be fair. I get about an hour of really good projection on this one, and then 6 hours sort of total projection and longevity before you really have to bury your nose into your arm to smell it. The total longevity goes on forever and ever. I mean, over 24 hours you can smell a fragrance if you do really bury your nose into your arm. But in terms of really being noticeable, you're looking on my skin about 6 hours, which makes it very similar to Aventus for me. So it may well work better for you if you've got more accommodating skin than I have. Now I really like the smoky batches. And I'm not a big fan of the ones that are just fruit, without any of that smoky, ashy birch in there. I find them a bit dull, so I do like this one, but if I had to pick any from the house at the moment, I would pick Pineapple Vintage Intense for me personally. It's on the fruitier side, but it's still got plenty of that smoky birch in there. Just the right balance for me. I think Beyond Noir is actually a clever release from the house, because what they've now got is Pineapple Vintage and Pineapple Vintage Intense for people that prefer the fruitier type of Aventus batches with the smoke toned down a bit. They've also got Pineapple Vintage Noir and the brand new Pineapple Vintage Noir Intense, which I will review at some point, which turn the smoke up to create more of a sort of even balance between the smoke and the pineapple. And now they've got this one, Beyond Noir, which caters for those people that love the really dark, ashy Aventuses like the 2010 KO4 batch that some people loved, some people hated. So if you're going to buy any of these from this range, what I'll say is make sure you know which type of fruit to smoke ratio you prefer, and buy the right fragrance out of the range, or you're going to be disappointed. So where you're going to get this one? Well, you need to go to the Parfums Vintage website. I'll leave a link below for this. This one Beyond Noir is $101 delivered, or £81 delivered if you're in the UK. So there you go, guys. It's just a quick video of my initial thoughts on this one. I hope it's useful for you. Please let me know your thoughts when you get hold of this one, or just generally give me some idea on what you think of the house and which ones are your favourites. And I'm going to be back very soon with another video. Cheers, guys.